Hey guys, the Crafty Bastard Gamer here. I know I'm showing my face for the first time on this channel. Can you believe it? 3-4 videos in and here I am. But this time I want to teach you how to make your own slime miniatures. Ooh, that's gross. So slimes. Why am I doing slime? Well, for the next 3 videos, I'm doing what I'm calling the hot glue challenge. And that means each craft will have something to do where hot glue is the key component to what you're doing. So I thought slime would be a lot of fun. It's one of the first ones that I kind of created on my own. And of course, there are other versions that I've seen out there that I think are really cool. But for me, they're a little too gritty. And I will put links down in the description below on some of those crafts that are amazing. And if you want to see sort of the next level up, maybe you should check those out. But this is going to be a little more on the cartoonish side, and I have to admit that I do have a love for those kinds of things. I think of Slimer when I think of slime from Ghostbusters. I think of the slime cubes in Minecraft, and I like that you can sort of see through them. They're usually a brighter green color, and that just makes me think of icky, ooey, gooey slimes. So that's sort of the direction that I'm going. That might be a little different. They are adjustable in size, so you can make them as big and small as you want. So if you're playing on a certain system that might require grids of 1 inch, you can make them fit that. You can make them larger or whatever you like. They're organic in design, which means they do seem to have a flow, a natural pattern to them, which I think is pretty cool. And they're baseless. You can mount them on a base, but I think in action they look a lot better when you don't have a base on them. If you put them on terrain or if you put them on some sort of tiles, they look even better if you don't have a base. So why don't you follow me into the crafting room. We'll see what it takes to make these slimes come to life. So what you're going to need for this project is, first thing is a silicone mat, like one of these that I got from Mod Podge. I actually got it from Michael's store. They usually run about $10 a piece, but with the coupons you could get at the craft store, that's 40, 50, even 55% off. You can get this much cheaper. I also found one for $8 at Walmart. This is really going to be the key for almost everything we do in this trick, as well as the next 2 videos ahead, all in the hot glue challenge. And I'll show you more as we get into it. The second thing we need is this cutting mat, or some sort of grid so you can get an approximation of size. The next thing you'll need is a cheap glue gun. This one I use only for this craft because I have about 6 different hot glue guns. I have a nicer high temperature, and then the one that DM Scotty suggested we get, and this is one of my new favorites. I love it, love it, love it. But it's a little too nice for this application. Plus with the green glue, if something happens and it breaks, I'm okay with that. So it's already getting hot. So I'll just lay it right here. I try to stand them up, but they're going to fall over on me anyway, so I just throw it down. Next thing you're going to need are clear glue sticks. Just the regular size, multi-temp glue sticks. Nothing special. You don't need to get the extra long ones. Those are great for other things, but here you won't need them. You'll actually need the smaller size, because the other component that makes this special is the green glue sticks. Now these you will probably need to find online. I have yet to find a craft store that actually offers these just in the plain green. Of course you can find like a mix pack that are the sparkly kind, but that's not the same thing. That's not what we need. We need the plain green, the very bland green sticks. And the next thing I would suggest you have is a pair of tweezers, and I'll show you why we need that at the end of the video. So I'll just set these aside for now. There are 2 things that are optional that you might want to use that could take the project to the next level. One is a clear varnish, and I don't have that set out quite yet because I don't know if I'm going to use it in this application, but I'll explain how you can. And the next thing is body parts. I use a bunch of HeroClix figures that I've got multiple sets of them, where you can just cut off an arm like this guy here. I think it was a Hydra soldier. just going to cut off his arm and use that possibly. And you can see it's green. It actually looks brighter green on camera than it does in person here. I guess that's just the lighting. But when it's used, it just kind of comes out flat. So what I tried to do was to cut it into pieces. So it wasn't until I played around with slicing the glue sticks in half. I don't know how well you can see that, but just scoring them down the middle very, very carefully, very, very carefully, and then feeding them in together in the hot glue gun, that I got a lighter color green and occasionally a swirl of the clear to make it goopier in my mind. Cutting this hot glue is super hard, so you have to just take your time, go very slow, and if you make a mistake and you only have a little piece, that's fine. Do another little piece, and just keep feeding it through. So let's see, we'll just do this live. We'll see if we can get it to fit in the back of the glue gun. Alright, looks like success. So I'm just going to use this little square. What can you see very well on camera? Yeah, we'll say this square right here. I'm just going to begin to pipe out glue. Swirl it around a bit. There we go. I'll let that cool for just a few moments. The next thing, while I have time, I'm going to put little drops of glue. Here it even looks like it has a tiny little bubble. You'll be able to see that when we get zoomed in. I'm going to shift things up a little bit. I'm going to make a slightly larger one in this space here. I need to pump a lot of it out. Well, just for the sake of the video and for time, I'm just going to fill this in. Punch in the back a little more. And we'll just have this be 1 inch by 2 inch. That'll work okay. So I think this one's cool just enough, yeah. Let's see if you can see that. Look pretty good? Don't need to put a background behind it. Yeah, let's try that. So you can see it's still translucent. Sort of swirly. So maybe this isn't a living slime. Maybe this is an acid pool. Maybe this is just a bubbling pit of slime. That's what your little beads here are for. So you'll take your tweezers, grab a little dot, add just a smidgen of hot glue on the bottom, and then tap it in. And I got a really ugly wisp. Oop, and I stuck myself to this one too. So there we go. Try it with another one. Boom. Cool. Sometimes less is more, and sometimes more is more. So I'll do another one. Have a friend trying to come along with it. That's the danger of those wisps, y'all. Wisps be hating. Okay. Pull away the wisps as much as I can. And now take a look at it. These ugly, pustule, bubbly bits. And that makes for a really nice fit on the table. So we'll set him aside. Alright, so everything is cooled down a bit, and instead of doing an arm or a leg of a body part inside the slime, I decided instead to do a skull. I have these beads, they're really cool. I also got them at the craft store. They're not really available all year long. I found them more at Halloween, so using one of these will probably work just as good as anything else, and that's what I also have my tweezers for as I shoot it across the way. So let's load her back up one more time. And we're going to add just another little puddle of slime here, nice and goopy. And then, now for this big boy, what I want to do is we've already decided if we want it to have bubbles or not. And so we saw that here. Do we want to have debris? We can do it that way. But also, what about flow direction? Is this living slime? Yeah, we want it to look more bubbly and more angry, so we're going to add a couple layers. It's still a little warm, but I'm going to add a bunch on top very carefully. Don't want to hurt yourself. I've hurt myself. Don't be that guy. I'm going to let it hang upside down. Can you see it starting to droop? See it starting to drip. Can I get underneath? Then I lean it over. So there's this weird little rivulet of it going this direction. Gotta set that down, let it cool. So while some of this is cooling, I'll go ahead and show you a few of the other ones that I had already done using the same techniques, but just going to the next level. You can see in some of these where I just did blob on top of blob, and then I glued them on top of each other, and glued them on top of each other, and glued them on top of each other, with nice round beads on the top. Looks amazing on the table. Here's a much larger one that isn't quite as slimy, but it's still pretty gross. Looks to me like green beans or lima beans. If you look on the bottom, I did try to mount it, to have it on sort of, you know, a pedestal of some kind. I didn't really like how that came out because it's really warped and it doesn't sit flat on the table. You can probably see how warped it is there, right? But then the other one that I did without a base looks great, and I got a little bit of that flow pattern in a single direction. So kind of creepy to have on the table right in front of one of your players. They sense doom if they see this coming their way. And I even did some small ones. If you can see how little these guys are. So in the game of Pathfinder, these would be a 5 foot by 5 foot, a medium-sized slime. This would be closer to 10 foot by 10 foot, large size. And these I would call small, so you could have these occupy squares together. And I imagine these to be a lot like the slimes from Minecraft, that you destroy this guy and you get 2 of these. You destroy these guys and you get 2 or 3 of these. So, a fun way to look at the different types of slime. So you can see I did another piece, just a smaller piece, like that I could put just a little smidgen of glue, carefully, whoop, more careful than that. Press it down onto the top. That one didn't go quite as well as some of the previous, but just a little bit of heat around the sides, because you want your slime to look like it's bubbling up. It's alive, but it's choosing to move. So something like that. I'm going to try that technique again. I'm just going to put a nice sized blob instead of such a wide one. Okay. Hang it upside down. Is it dripping? Slowly yet surely. And I could even blow on it to cool it down. So, you see it? So I'm going to let this hang for just a couple minutes and wait till it cools, and then it'll be standing upright. But then if I slowly lean it over, alright, maybe it looks a little inappropriate now that I think about it, but it gives it some direction. So you can do a lot of those kinds of techniques to get your slime looking a little more as if it's organic, if it's moving, it's lurching, it's trying to grab the characters. So the last thing I wanted to do, I haven't attempted this before, I'd like to try to make a gelatinous cube. I'm going to use the silicone mat. What's great is once it cools down, it peels right up. It's very flat. I'm going to try that here. So instead of you hearing me ramble, I'm going to fast forward and we'll see in the end if it's successful or not. I don't know. Let's find out together. Let's go. That's about as far as I care to go with it right now. For the first time ever doing it, it came out okay. Something that I learned is going to be very careful with it because it is very delicate. You could do it thicker, but you lose some of that translucence. So yeah, it's still very hot. You know, sometimes the simplest things are the best. That's one of my favorites. You can throw that down in any dungeon setting, and it's going to look awesome. It looks pretty good too. You know, I would want to paint antique that skull a little more. Maybe not antique it, but I definitely want to change it up a bit. Dark. Just look at that. That poor dude's dead, ain't he? Alright. So, here's the gelatinous cube. I mean, for as simple as that is, I would probably want to trim down some of the corners. Like right there. Melt it up a little bit, but the inside is hollow, which you could find various different uses for that. The brave soldier fighting against the gelatinous cube. That is something I know I don't want to run into in any dungeon. Not just anytime soon, but ever. So the last thing that I want to show you is just getting a gloss varnish, a clear gloss varnish. This is a way that you can fill in the gaps when you do a piece like this. You see, it is glossy. The hot glue will be glossy enough on its own, but if you want to make it extra damp looking, the gloss is good for that. Also, it fills in some of these tiny little crevices all throughout, which become more apparent when you don't do it. I believe I didn't do it on this one. It's a little more matte looking. I think it looks just as good. So it's not a necessity, especially if you want it to look a little more dingy, grimy, dungeony, but that's going to be up to you. So play around with it, try different sizes. You can see I've got a ton of them so that when my players get onto the field, and this isn't even something I've been able to roll out for them yet. It's a secret. Well, maybe I've blown it here today, but you can see what I'm talking about. Try this at home. Pretty simple and dirt cheap. Alright, so that was it for my version of slimes. If you have any suggestions, put it in the comment section below. Always love to hear your feedback. Yes, they are cute, but they're still intimidating. They're customizable and they're dirt cheap, which is always a big thing for me. So come back next time when we stick with the hot glue challenge. Can't even believe I made a pun like that. I'm really sorry. Keep crafting, and I'll see you next time.